All right, let's continue with our Guild Wars 2 personal story playthrough as we adventure through Path of Fire. So we're trying to track down Balthazar, right? And we have already kind of gathered the lay of the land, so to speak, in terms of what's going on here in the Crystal Desert. So now what we're trying to do is specifically identify where Balthazar is, right? We have been informed that he's hunting Vlast, who is Arene's brother. So another Scion Glint. Apparently there are two of them. And in the process of doing this, he is also essentially waging war against the people of the Crystal Desert. And right now, the only map that we've been active in is Crystal Oasis, and the population center for Crystal Oasis is the free city of Amnoon here. So imagining that, and of course, you know, in a game like this, they can't make a population center like as large and populous as a population center should be. So essentially what we have here is that this is the free city of Amnoon right here. This is like old Amnoon. This is an area that was once populated but was then destroyed, I believe, by like some kind of sandstorm or something. The sinking ruins here. So this area, I think this is actually still part of the city, but this is all like destroyed, right? Um, so, Balthazar, we need to run him down.
Captain, I'm glad I caught you.
Aye, Commander. It would seem you survived the Den of Vipers in Zalambor's casino.
Zalambor was reluctantly helpful. He said the Forged had set up camps in the area. My team is scouting the main camp, but I need to know where any of the smaller posts might be.
Actually, there are two Forged outposts outside the city walls. They mostly provide reinforcements and tactical support for the main camp.
It would make sense to take those out before attacking the main camp then. Kill the cavalry before they can come to the rescue.
And it might cut back their raids on our city. You'll find one outpost to the north, and the other to the east. I've posted my cavaliers outside them. They can fill you in on what to expect inside.
Alright, so apparently working off of that dialogue right there. By the way, I wonder if it's exhausting for the commander to be like so consistently confrontational and like you know, to have an attitude all the time. You would think it would be, right? So apparently these two camps and you know, here's the outpost one. He was talking about how he's got people posted kind of outside of them. Here's one of those outposts. Here's the other outpost. And the camps are that right there and that right there, right? Apparently they conduct raids against the free city of Amnoon. That's not something we ever see in like an event or anything like that. I assume they wanted, and I think there was some demand for, because Heart of Thorns didn't have anything like that. Like a hub for players that was free of like, you know, events where enemies actually attack. So there are events that do take place here in the free city of Amnoon, but by and large they're free of like enemies rampaging across the city or something like that. During the casino event there will be some enemies, but they're specifically isolated to you know, certain spots around some of these pyramid ziggurat type things. There's some events like over here and over here and stuff, but this the kind of the hub of activity for players themselves tends to remain clear of that kind of thing. And then at the end of the casino there's like a it's not a meta event, it's just a big dumb bonus thing where a giant like pinata thing is available to be killed by the players. And it drops an infusion, a unique infusion to that particular event. So it usually draws a lot of people. Just kind of, it's like a daily thing, right? Some people do their daily pinata to try and get that infusion. I'm not an infusion fan. I think they're hideous, but you know, to each their own, I suppose. All right.
Hi, stranger. Be cautious if you're heading north. The Forge have set up artillery at their camp just ahead.
The casino owner in Amnoon told me the war god Balthazar rallies his troops at these camps.
Ah, Zalambor. I haven't seen Balthazar come around here, but the Forge are nasty enough on their own, especially now with the cannons and all.
Well, I can put the Forged and their cannons out of commission.
Maybe you can leave a couple standing. I really need to keep this post.
Again, like maybe it's the human female voice actor. Maybe if we were like Char female or Asura male or something, that line would be completely different. Even if the words were the same, like it would have a very different tone. Maybe the Asura is like, I can put that out of commission. Like as a statement of fact. Whereas, again, the commander's like so extra about it. Like, calm down, Commander. My gosh. All right. So, what is our task here? As we enter this this camp here, we need to put some of those cannons out of commission. That is, in fact, what we're here to do. So let's do that. Bye. You don't have to use these bombs, by the way, to destroy the cannon. In fact, it's actually like kind of a silly thing to believe that like throwing artillery ammunition at the cannons actually destroys those cannons. You can just attack them and they will take sufficient damage and so forth. In fact, we'll do that with this one. Just finish it off. There we go. Go team. But the fast way to go about it is... Why isn't there one there? Did another player come through? Yeah, someone else is fighting over here right now.
Feel the fury.
And they're doing the weapon thing as well, instead of throwing ammunition. So I'm going to do that right now, and the reason is because I want them to land hits as well. So presumably they're doing this because they're at the same point in the story. So if I just throw the ammunition and completely destroy the cannon without them getting a hit on it, then they don't get credit for it. Alright.
Just like she said, no sign of Balthazar.
No
But
sign
at least
of
there are fewer
Balthazar.
Forged to threaten Amnoon. Maybe I'll have better luck at the other outpost.
So it doesn't really make... I mean, like, is a general just going to randomly swing by, like, some small outpost? Willy-nilly? Probably not. During my time in Afghanistan, did we get, like, senior leaders occasionally, like, swinging by the fire base to encourage the troops? Yes, but if you were the enemy and you were targeting that general, you wouldn't... The fire base is not where you'd want to do it, because that would be like a once every 6 months to 12 months type thing. You'd be wasting an incredible amount of resources for a very low possibility reward. That reward might be good, but it would be a very low possibility, so it just wouldn't make sense. Whatever. We'll let the commander do their thing. It is a video game after all.
Captain Rahim said you could help me. Have you ever seen Balthazar at this camp?
If Balthazar ever showed up at this camp, you'd be talking to an empty tent. I'm just here to observe and report.
I'm hoping to find clues on what Balthazar's up to. You can stay here cowering in the shadows if you'd prefer.
Thanks for understanding. I have seen couriers delivering dispatches. They might contain intel about Balthazar's battle plans.
I should have sent Ritlock to this camp. Save myself some trouble.
Commander, it makes no sense for a single Cavalier to try and infiltrate or in some way, like, do damage or something to this camp up here. That's absolute nonsense. The fact that the Cavalier provided you intelligence, and really, honestly, like, very concrete intelligence, should be considered a huge win.
Where is that intel?
If Ritlock was really a military mind, he would recognize that too. So the problem here, Commander, is you. I do like the design of the Forged. I think
This looks interesting.
they're pretty well done. Pretty cool. Kind of adversary design. Oh, I didn't read the stuff. I should have read it. And you know, so it gives me like hope, if you will, for you know, the future releases they got lined up. You know, here in 2023 with like the, you know, they've already kind of previewed the, you know, some enemy models for what the next quote-unquote expansion is going to be, the next mini expansion, or whatever nonsense we're calling that. And
What's this?
they are interesting enemy designs. You know, there's the potential there for it to be pretty cool. And there's a lot of enemies in here that kind of pile up on you. So when we look at something like the Forged, we see that, you know, they've done a pretty good job of that in the past, so we can feel pretty good about, you know, whether it ends up being a compelling story or not, that it will, you know, likely be a cool environment with cool adversaries.
What's this?
We can go on to feed our people.
Oh, I keep forgetting to actually see what this is here. Discarded forged armor.
2 camps and still
Treated to
no sign of
withstand heat and
Balthazar.
fire. Okay, well, who cares?
At least now we won't have to worry about leaving our flanks exposed at the main camp. Hopefully Ritlock and Canuck had more luck scouting it out.
Hopefully they did. It's a really cool mechanic that they gave these, I forget what the enemies are called, because here they're just called reinforcements. But there's a particular forge that like puts up barriers like that. And not only do they stop like projectiles and stuff, but they'll actually stop you from approaching. So you gotta like go around the barriers, go through between the barriers, etc. Cool mechanic that for an enemy just poking around like on the map in the open world, I don't believe we had really seen that before. I don't recall prior to this map seeing any enemies that did that. You know, in like Heart of Thorns or whatever. Going into Night of Fires, should we... Is that what it's called? Night of Fires? I think so. We'll go ahead and take that buff. Yeah, Night of Fires. We'll take a little map buff there. Ugh. It's not worth very much. How long is it good for? 10 minutes? Yeah, it's not even... we're not going to benefit from it at all, but... That's alright. So Night of Fires is actually a relatively difficult instance. Of the instances in Path of Fire, it's actually one of the ones that gives me the most trouble. Kind of a weird thing.
Commander, glad you're here. I was getting tired of listening to him complain about the weather.
All I said is that for some of us, this arid climate is less than hospitable.
I think he's wilting.
What have you learned about Balthazar's camp?
I'm told this is the main forged camp in the region. It has an extremely heavy troop presence.
Then I say we charge in and take him out before they know what hit him. Fast and fierce.
Or, given that we'll be staggeringly outnumbered, I suggest we use finesse to engage a few at a time.
Why are y'all
Okay,
looking at me?
Follow my lead. Let's go meet a god. Feel the fury. Time to do some real damage.
Gate's clear. Time to rush them and crush them.
They'll likely have sentries posted inside. I suggest we quietly pry the gate open to avoid their notice.
All right, Canuck, go ahead. We'll cover you.
Does this look like a gate that is quietly pried open? Honestly, I do like that. It's super cool. It's very like original Diablo, isn't it? All right, so there's a thing that we're going to be caring about in this instance if we want the achievement, which I think I actually already have. I got it on 0 to 0. But it also makes the playthrough easier. You see these sentries? We go much past this threshold here. I shouldn't have gone past it at all. We're going to trigger this guy. And he's going to make a run towards that brazier over there. And that's the mechanism for like signaling for reinforcements. So the more sentries we allow to reach the little brazier things, the more enemies we're going to have to deal with in this instance. So if we want to make our life a lot easier, we're going to take these sentries out as quickly as possible. And because they have that long activation range, you can see, I think we made it maybe like right here. Maybe right up here. And that dude started moving. Because they have that kind of range before they trigger, that's why I switched from axes to longbow. I want to make sure that I'm not... Ah, nice. There's that barrier I was talking about. So what is it? It's the war mages. Those are the guys who do that. These forerunners are really cool too, with their little like forged blade surfboard things. That thing right there, and they like skate around on it. They're very slippery. Look at that guy. Well, he's got two of them, one on each foot. Oh, those annoy the hell out of me. These hook hits. But you know, definitely, you know, Pathfire was early enough in the process of like, you know, creating what they wanted Guild Wars 2 to be, that we still got like some really good stuff that, hey man, that increasingly, ooh, those circles on those forge runners, or forerunners, forged? Forerunners, like Toyota 4Runner? Apparently so. That's kind of rough. Anyway, you know, as they continue to progress further and further through the game, oh man. This isn't even the part where I should be having trouble yet. It's going to be a long afternoon.
Just one more confirmation of how great I am.
You know, the further we get into the you know, lifespan of Guild Wars 2, if you will, the more likely we are to start running into ideas being repeated. I think, you know, as players, you know, we got to kind of acknowledge that at some point that's going to have to be okay. Because they're simply going to... Come back here, Drakehound. I don't really want you down there. Because if we start wandering down in that water, we're going to get real dangerously close to triggering that next sentry. And, you know, I said that not long ago, like 2 or 3 videos ago, about masteries as well. Like, there are only a few things I can think of where there's still, like, a good place for masteries to kind of take us. I think what we're going to run into here soon is, you know, we're either going to be seeing a lot more, like, Icebrood Saga type masteries, where, like, the idea is get this mastery to make the content easier. You know, like just statistically easier, do more damage to certain enemies with this mastery, which is like the worst possible mastery design. Well, maybe the second worst. You know, I think the worst possible mastery design, which I don't recall them using at any point thus far, would be complete this mastery simply to advance in the story or advance to the next map. They do require you to get, like in Heart of Thorns, well, and Pathfire, they require you to get certain masteries to move forward in the story, but those are still very functional masteries, such as gliding, bouncing mushrooms, you know, raptor, canyon jumping, stuff like that. So I don't have a problem with gating like that because there's still immense value in those masteries. But I can see a scenario where as they struggle more and more to come up with ideas for masteries, we get like unlock the big golden door mastery. And the whole thing is you don't move from one map to the next, or you don't advance to the next part of the story until you unlock the big golden door. And you got to, 4 mastery points, 5 mastery points, and 2 million experience to do that. And that would be, a sure sign of a studio that's struggling, without a doubt. Hey, man, why are we always doing this dance?
Time to.
This is getting serious.
Oh. Okay. The final fight on this instance is going to be real bad if I'm struggling like that today. Jeez. Help me out, Peppers.
I could use a hand over here.
I failed you, Balthazar.
All clear out here, but no Balthazar. No telling what's on the other side of this gate.
Only one way to find out. We smash, slash, and trash.
Don't you ever just engage an enemy?
Now, from this point forward, in this instance, Canuck and Ritlock here are gonna die like shockingly easily. It's pretty disappointing, all things considered. They're gonna spend a good chunk of their time down, and it's not gonna make things any easier for us.
That's one officer down. This is the main camp. There's got to be other officers inside.
Oh, there are.
Let's go get them.
With any luck, we might even get a look at this so-called god.
If he's not here, we should let him know we stopped by. Lee,
Get that sentry before they call reinforcements.
Yeah, I forgot about that. So that particular sentry will actually trigger, like,
Okay, sentry's down.
Before you get the opportunity to do anything about it. I don't know if that's a bug or if that's just like how they wanted that to work. If it's how they wanted it to work, I kind of question that. It's just I don't know that feels good as a player for for you to still be behind this gate and things already happening that you don't want to have happen. Like, I guess you could make the argument like, oh, sometimes that's how life goes. Well, yeah, but
Get that sentry before they
there are a lot of things where you could say sometimes that's how life goes, and we don't include them in video games because they don't feel good. So that's not really where you want to be on your design philosophy, as a studio. Man, I'm doing terrible today. Like, objectively bad.
We heal as one.
Too late. The sentry hit the alarm. More
What?
incoming.
What sentry? Oh my gosh. Whatever, man. Whatever.
I'll break you down.
It was probably while I was down. So, like, Ritlock and Canuck and your pet, and they can all trigger the sentry. One of the frustrating things about kind of how this plays out.
We heal as one. Hurts, doesn't it?
Hey, man. See, Ritlock's unconscious. Canuck is too. That's gonna, unfortunately, be kind of a routine thing here. We are about 50% done now with this nonsense at the camp.
Feel them. The sentry's been alerted. Get them.
Oh, that wasn't the sentry that I was targeting. Problematic.
They'll have to hit much harder.
Alright, we got one officer left poking around, but let's clear out some of the rest of this. So once we get into this next encounter, there's going to be a lot of like ads that you know are kind of the unending mob thing.
Time to do some real damage.
I'll break you down.
Feel the fury.
What is that thing? There in the central hub.
There we go. All right.
Strength of the pack. Item of grace.
What?
We heal as one. I'll break you head down.
Oh, did he just straight like murk my pet? I think he did. Man. So these ads really get to, they start adding up. They start becoming a problem for you.
Restarting the fight.
And by being a problem for you, I mean they start becoming a problem for me.
My leg.
We heal as one.
What are you doing, Ritlock?
Time to do some real damage.
Oh, nice. Alright, so now he's centered in the circle. I was kind of waiting for him to do that. It looked like he was taking a really long time to do that. Oh, we're gonna die. Nice. Well, no big surprise there. I was kind of waiting for that, actually. So if you have like some monster kind of point blank AoEs, then this becomes a lot more manageable. The like a million ads that you can't stop from spawning, can't really do anything about.
Feel the fury.
I don't know that. I mean, I guess if I kept my axes, then I would have some resources available for that. But oh, nice.
Barely.
I thought you were dead.
Doesn't it?
There it is.
Anyone?
Oof. Yeah, so that it's a very easy attack to avoid when you're not laying on your ass. But that is a pretty devastating attack. The if you manage to get in the middle of it. Um, this is a guy who really wouldn't be that hard if you can manage all the other mobs.
And stay down. Balthazar's tin soldiers are getting bigger and nastier.
I've seen worse from Iron Legion cubs.
He says as he's still unconscious.
You can tell him that in person, Tribune. But we've got to find him first.
Camp's clear, but no sign of Balthazar or his herald.
The so-called god of war seems to be better at hiding than fighting.
Careful. Graveyards are full of soldiers who underestimated their enemies.
We should meet up with Casimir and decide where to go from there.
The Temple of Cormyr's right up this hill.
So as you may recall, while we were doing like war things, Casimir was doing soul-searching things, and she's doing all this without like Marjorie by her side. They're kind of like I don't want to say broken up, but they're taking some time apart right now. That followed Chapter 5 of Living World Season 3.
I don't believe I've ever been inside a human temple before.
You'll be fine. Just don't spit on the floor, blow out any candles, or let anyone hand you a pamphlet.
Do they have pamphlets in Tyria?
Just trust me on this.
Okay, I trust you, Ridlock.
Cormier, I ask that you guide me through this difficult... Oh, I didn't see you enter.
Sorry, Kaz. I didn't mean to interrupt your prayers.
It's okay. She will understand. I hesitate to ask, but what happened at the Forged camp?
No sign of Balthazar or his herald. I'd hoped you might come back to Amnoon with us to speak with Chief Counselor Iman.
Commander, I regret the intrusion, but I must speak with you.
Who are you? And how do you know who I am?
I know more about you than just your title, but please, we should speak in a more private setting.
So interesting thing with Robed Stranger here, who we'll get to know a lot more as we go forward. So you got the Order of Whispers, right? One of the three orders that's part of the pact, and we could choose to join them. That was one of our options. Ultimately, we chose Vigil, but that was one of the options on the table, right? So they do a pretty good job in the core game of giving the impression that like Order of Whispers is like a super cool, shadowy organization by hinting that they know things, but never really like trying to elaborate on it. They do the opposite with this guy and his organization. Instead, it's constantly like, oh, I know all that. I saw all that. I was right there. And so instead of being like this subtle thing that leaves you to question, how expansive their knowledge and their reach really is, it just comes off like a big meme. Like subtlety is the thing that Arena's worst at by a country mile. It's absurd.
I am Keto, and I believe I can help you. You're looking for Blast, the crystal dragon being hunted by Balthazar, yes?
How do you know what I'm looking for?
The Order of Shadows has eyes and ears throughout the Crystal Desert, and you haven't exactly been a quiet presence here.
Order of Shadows? I know the Order of Whispers.
We share history, but deep disagreements about our goals and methods tore the original Order apart.
Commander, I understand you visited our camp.
Yes, I did. Thank you for noticing.
Rip 'em up.
Everyone, this thing targets
All right.
civilians. We've got to protect these people.
Gotta protect the civilians. So see, Harold Balthazar is going to specifically go for those. And our special action skill will allow us to pull the civilians to us, thus getting them out of the kill zone, if you will, for Harold to Balthazar him. You actually want to pull him far enough that the Herald turns around to target you and uses that skill again, that, you know, they're not all going to end up dead. So if we're like right up on the Herald when we pull these guys, then it's not necessarily helpful. There's an achievement for not allowing any of those poor like citizens to die while the Herald, you know, is trying to kill them. That's another achievement that I believe we should already have on the 0 to 0. I actually got a lot of the achievements on my 0 to 0 playthrough and got them considerably easier because I think, in my humble opinion, I think Reaper is just a fantastic class that, at least from my playstyle, like makes it very easy for me to do that stuff. I don't necessarily have the same success rate with some other classes, so, or elite specs or whatever.
Feel the fury.
Rip 'em up.
Oop, am I in the fire? That's not good.
Come to me. I'll protect you.
Ooh, they just barely got out of that one.
Balthazar, by your will, protect me.
Alright, so if we hadn't already had the achievement, we would have got it there. Kind of irrelevant.
Balthazar will consume you all.
Look out. Next.
Oop, didn't dodge that though.
Don't let her escape.
Wait! We have to revive the faithful before the fire gets them.
The Herald can wait.
Fair enough.
We could actually just stand here and do nothing, and our allies would revive all these folks. Someone's supposed to be casting a water spell, too, to put all this fire out. Is it the one of the priests of Cormyr, I think, do it? I think so. Yeah, there we go.
Power. She's nearly as strong as a god herself.
I think that's
She
hyperbole,
sees your
Casimir.
determination to protect the innocent as a weakness, one she can exploit.
The path to Balthazar runs through his herald. We can't give up the chase.
Commander, our goals are aligned. The Order of Shadows wants to work with you. Meet me at Macaulay Outpost, north of here. I can help you track the Herald from there.
Okay, so another fantastic example of how less is more. I got no problems with our little battle with the Herald there. I like the thing about pulling the civilians towards you. Like that's a cool mechanic, trying and kind of couch an achievement in and stuff. But the dialogue. Commander, our goals are aligned. The Order of Shadows wants to work with you. Meet me at Macaulay Outpost, north of here. I can help you track the Herald from there. What if all that initial kind of pompous nonsense from Agent Keto wasn't there? And this is the only thing he ever says to us. Now we have that ambiguity. Now we have that uncertainty about just who are these Order of Shadows folks. How much do they know, instead of, I know this, I know this, I know this, and it's like Inspector Gadget bullshit. Just allow it to remain, relatively unclear. Allow it to remain mysterious. And I think that the narrative actually benefits tremendously from that. It's something that they are truly, truly incapable of, though. They got a tiny bit better at that with like Icebridge Saga, but generally speaking, and I think maybe there's like this idea or this, this guidance or recommendation or something that's not how you do narrative in like a in a video game, because you're asking too much of the player or whatever. I hope that's not the case because that's foolish. It's completely foolish. All right, let's go to Macaulay Outpost. So interesting thing there, as you enter the map at this point, you enter the story, and I believe the first time you do it on an account, you have to be at this story step to enter the map, if I remember correctly. It's been a long time since I've been,
Over here.
since I've had an account, where I tried to enter without
Blast was here.
being at that point in the story.
Just outside these walls when the Forge attacked. We overheard one of the Forge to say Balthazar himself was on his way to snare the dragon. You there. Follow me. I promised the Order of Shadows would help you find Balthazar's herald, but I trust you'll settle for the god himself.
We need your help getting to Blast. He may be the secret to stopping Balthazar.
I'm sorry, but nobody at this post is equipped to stand against the god of war. This way! Keep moving! I have to get these people away from the danger here. Back to Coromir's temple. Come on, we need to stick together.
Won't even fight for their own homes?
These people aren't warriors. Unlike you, they see challenging a god as certain death. So they prefer to run and live.
We understand. Get them to the temple.
I like Ritlock's question.
Tell him that if we die today, there's nowhere in Tyria that will be spared.
Then let's do our best not to die today.
Indeed.
I like the Tribune's plan.
So what now?
We find Blast. Kaz?
I'm coming with you. I want answers.
All right, so we're gonna go find Blast. But like I said, I like that exchange for the most part. I think it is interesting. I think it's valid. This is a good time for it to pop up. This question of like,
No telling which way Blast went. There's fire and debris in every
oh
direction.
no, I think we can actually.
This is combat destruction. Dragons tend to leave a more distinctive trail.
Like raging fires and broken bodies?
Along those lines. You'll know it when you see it.
Like pornography, you know it when you see it. I tend to be of the opinion that most people are naturally lack courage and will. My personal opinion. Unusual crystals. Well, Vlast is a crystal dragon. Do these guys have any dialogue when we find some of this stuff? Apparently not. So you can kind of just skip all this. You can just hop on a raptor or whatever, run right up here, go across and trigger the next part of the story. I guess for story playthrough purposes, we will not do that. We'll kind of fight our way up there.
Will this be your first god fight?
Yeah. Kill them all! Hurry! He'll
In
be
the
here
spirit
soon.
of one-upsmanship, I'll count Mordremar and say no. But don't worry. I'll show you the ropes.
Okay, I'm going to avoid this, though. There's some, like, groups that are kind of wandering through here. There's an achievement associated with killing those groups, big war machines and so forth. I have no interest in any of that.
Time to do some real damage.
Are we going to get pulled into it, though, by this? My NPCs are probably what's going to pull me into it. There is another, like, thing that we can look at, like, down here somewhere. In fact, you know what? Nah, let's move. I'm not in the mood to deal with any of that. Not in the mood. Yeah, so I'm kind of with Ritlock on these people not defending their homes. But I
I'd say up that plateau.
yeah, I'd say you're probably right.
Blast is up there. Balthazar can't be far behind.
However, there is some very real evidence to show that there are times when people will, in fact, as an entire people group, demonstrate like great courage and stand up in the face of adversity. Right? I don't know. And so if you look at like the last 10 to 15 years of human history, there's very strong evidence for both arguments. That people are, by and large, people are cowards, or by and large, people will be courageous when called upon. If you wanted to make either argument,
Balthazar.
you could find evidence to support you. All right, so we almost miss because we're paying attention to the Herald of Balthazar, the dialogue, and so forth. We almost miss the what we see back there in the background, where Vlast is flying at Balthazar and essentially gets cut down from the air. It's pretty cool animation. I mean, I definitely feel like they do a good job of setting the environment in this instance. And I think that continues once we're done with the Herald here.
None from me.
We'll get to that sooner. Stupid pet just stands right in the middle of that stuff.
Surrender makes the pain more bearable.
They'll have to hit. Maybe I'm stronger than you.
So you can dodge in and out of those circles. Should you find yourself stuck in one like that, not the end of the world. Just conserve your dodges, because you're going to have to do it from time to time to avoid some of her larger attacks. So... Alright, we should be just about done with the Herald here.
Kill my god. Please.
All mine.
What was that for? Oh, we didn't take damage from the flame wall. Okay, so this time, Herald is dead. Dead, right? This is the third time we've encountered her. Finally, we have defeated her. That particular encounter, especially coming off a Night of Fires, is actually really trivial. I'm not very good. I probably made it look a lot harder than it actually is. It's an exceptionally easy encounter.
Balthazar, stop this. I prayed to you and enjoyed your blessings.
So this is like a Balthazar skill, the chain down thing.
I won't allow you to
apparently.
commit more atrocities. If you won't talk, we have to treat you as the enemy.
Very well. You face the god of war, mortal creatures, and I tire of your meddling.
So be it. Your herald is dead. I killed her.
You could have replaced her, but you refused my offer. We'll have no more words, Tyrion. Only death. Sure. You, friend, I will spare. But my mercy ends there.
Friend.
Alright, so now we fight Balthazar. Don't worry, this isn't the end of Pathfinder. So a couple of dialogue things there. One... once again, like, who does the commander think? Imagine walking up to a god and being like, if you don't talk to us about what's going on here, we're gonna have to kill you. Ridiculous.
The flames will blacken your corpse.
Oh no. I'm downed again. How many times in today's playthrough am I going to get downed? This one, you're always going to get downed, obviously.
What happened?
Did we prevail?
No.
So what happened to Balthazar?
Alright, before we speak to anyone. So the other dialogue thing prior to our little cutscene there was the commander said, I've worshipped you for, what was it? I've worshipped you for all my life or something like that. No, Balthazar, stop this. I've prayed to you and enjoyed your blessing for as long as I can remember. They do insert, let's see, are we actually, if I remember right. Oh no, I didn't. I chose Melandru. But I am a human. So that dialogue is associated with me being human. I don't believe that particular piece of dialogue exists for like Char or Asur or whatever, because they wouldn't have prayed to Balthazar all their lives. Okay, so this right here, this is what happened when Vlast was killed. So we have like this explosion of dragon magic that created these golden dragon crystals. They should appear similar to like the branding from Kralkatork, which would be purple. And the day will come when we'll see a similar effect from Marine as well, and it'll have its own properties also. But that's essentially what this is. And then we have this, and we'll get to that in a second. Let's talk to Canuck and Casimir.
Vlast sacrificed himself to save me.
Oh my
Yep,
God.
totally not
When
worth
he
it.
died, Balthazar was knocked back by the Force. Then he was just gone.
So we still have no idea why he wanted Vlast, what his plans are.
Wait, these crystals.
All right. So this is going to be not only, does this kind of set up like a story step for us, but it's going to set up something that kind of persists all the way through like season 4. So let's take a look at it.
They look like the memory crystal we saw in Glint's lair when the Master of Peace received Doreen's egg.
A memory crystal? How do you...
The War God hunts me for the power I carry within and the weapon in the Prophet's shadow. You must discover the knowledge to unlock them, sister, before he does.
That's Vlad's voice. Right, Commander?
He left this message for Aureen.
Or for someone he knew he could trust to get it to her.
Prophet's shadow. Any ideas?
It's probably Glint's lair. Ritlock would know more than I do.
We should talk to him.
No. You two rest. Recuperate. I'll go talk to Ritlock.
I like that, how the crystal, like, hopefully we wrote that stuff down. It's gone now, but I do like it. That's a cool effect. All right, so let's go talk to Ritlock. He seems upset about something, and not only does he seem upset, but we took note of the fact, right, that Balthazar appeared to be familiar with Ritlock and referred to him as friend. This is something that is both like super interesting and colossally disappointing. So let's go through this and then we'll talk about it as well.
Canuck, Casimir, they okay?
Ritlock, What just happened? Why did Balthazar spare you? Call you friend?
Balthazar, I think we met once before.
What do you mean? When?
When I was looking for my sword, Sohathan, in the mists. I don't know how long I'd been looking. It's easy to lose track of time in the mists. But when I finally found Sohathan, its flame had been extinguished. Then I saw the stranger, in chains. He told me he could reignite my sword. I didn't ask his name, or why he'd been imprisoned there. I only asked him to restore Sohathan's flame. To repay the favor, I used the sword to break the chains that bound him. When I did, a portal opened. He told me it was a passage out of the mists. A way home. He must have followed me out, escaping the mists. I didn't know until just moments ago. But that stranger was Balthazar. He looked just like any other spirit trapped in the mists. I didn't know the truth until just now. Commander, I'm gonna make this right.
I know.
Commander, we really should be off.
Well, we can't undo what happened. But we may have found a way to limit the damage. Casimir and Canuck can fill you in on the way.
Tribune, you had Casimir worried. Balthazar nearly killed us all.
Sorry.
Vlast left a recording. Said something about a place called Prophet's Shadow.
It's probably Glint's lair. I've been there. It's not far from here.
But if Balthazar knows that too, we might meet some resistance getting in.
If we can get in. That's kind of the trick.
Alright. What do we want to do next? I don't know. What do you think, Redlock? Oh, yeah, so before we do that, though. That whole shebang, right? I think ArenaNet feels like they have addressed the issue of what Ritlock did in the Miss with that. I think that would be their defense. If I were standing in ArenaNet Studios right now and I'm like, hey, are you ever going to go into what happened to Ritlock in the Miss? They would say, we did. He met Balthazar and set Balthazar free. And I would say that is like grossly inadequate. Horribly inadequate. Now here, within the constraints of this story, like I'm good with it. That's cool. In fact, I think in a lot of ways, probably I quite like it. It gives Ritlock like this, this personal tie to what's going on, and it creates like this interesting dynamic within the group, and it opens some interesting. It gives us like some interesting perspectives on Balthazar, and shows us more than just this crazy god, but also raises some questions. Why was Balthazar chained up? Who chained Balthazar up, etc. And there's some more to come on that later. So like I'm good with all that. I'm just not good with the idea that we can put to bed the question of what happened to Ritlock in the Miss. But I think that's what ArenaNet wants to do there. So that's why I said it's both really cool and colossally disappointing. I think it is really cool. But I think it's disappointing because I think that's all we're ever going to get on that topic. And that topic could do a lot for us. It is easily... That question of what happened to Ritlock in the Miss easily could carry a fractal. Easily. Probably never will. I don't know why... Well, I do know why. It's because very clearly I do not think like the folks who do narrative for ArenaNet. We clearly see things very differently. So I don't think we'll ever see it. Anyway, Ritlock, what are your thoughts on the matter?
You three get to Glint's lair and recon for Forged and Balthazar. I'm
What?
going to find the rest of these crystals. They may be useful. I also need to find a place to reach Timey and check in on Aureen.
Oh, man, we haven't been calling Timey.
About Vlast?
Trust me, she already knows. I can feel her reacting. She must be connected to Vlast like she is to me.
Really? In any case, Commander, given the heights in this terrain, you should find out how the locals get around.
Okay, so if this was like our first time, we were just barely entering Path of Fire, brand new account, whatever, that would be our cue to start looking into Springer. I want to call it Bunny. It's not. It's not officially Bunny. It's officially Springer. But Bunny to all of us, right? So that's where you're going to get that plug. Like, hey, you need to start looking at Bunny because Raptor's not going to get you around this terrain, and it's very much designed. You see all this here? It's designed for that purpose, and so they do. I mentioned it earlier how they gate the story with that mastery piece, but I don't have a problem with it because Springer is a desirable thing anyway, and it's something that the player was naturally going to work towards. So to me, that's a dramatic difference between making a mastery that the player presumably wants anyway, part of the story. And, jeez, shut up. And making a mastery exclusively to serve as gate.
The mood in the egg chamber has taken a troubling turn.
What do you mean?
Troubling.
Aureen, not herself. She started moaning like she was in pain, but she won't let anyone near. She actually snapped at her exalted attendants, angrily. The whole city's talking about it. What's going on?
Balthazar is a lot tougher than he was before. He swatted us down like we were nothing. And he killed Vlast. He was aiming for me, but Vlast took the hit.
Oh, wow. That explains why Aureen's so agitated. She's grieving for her big brother, the poor thing. I'll liaise with Keith and the Luminate. Together, maybe we can calm Aureen down.
Sounds like a plan. I'll check in again soon.
Stay in touch.
Joko's reach is long.
All right.
There's no refuge for you anywhere in this desert.
They're coming at us from the west.
Okay, note, by the way, this event really does not have like any. It's not really important to the story or anything. But it is interesting. Look who the adversary is here in this particular event. It's not the Forged, it's the Awakened. So we are going to get plenty of Awakened going forward. We'll have time to do battle with them and we have plenty of interaction with the Awakened ahead of us. This is a great event if you are either looking to farm like Awakened kills. I don't know why you would. You're going to get plenty of them. It doesn't take long to get plenty of Awakened kills anyway. But if you were for some reason farming that, or if you're looking for like experience for your mastery track, it's a pretty good event too, because you're going to get experience from a whole bunch of these kills in addition to the overall event experience.
I feel good. You've been strong. They've broken through. Regroup in the center. Now that they're in here with us, we fight them together. And only to fight beside you, so spread the path.
Gotta watch out for this guy. When he does his scavenger thing, then we need to not be attacking, or we're gonna have a bad day. Yep. looks like we might not let him do. Alright. Oh, we actually get... Did we get the heart from that too? Alright, nice. So, last thing we're going to do for today. Crystals, right? If you get about half the crystals, you can actually advance in the story. We're going to grab them all. We're going to grab them all because they each provide, like, story exposition in the form of Vlast communicating a message. Wonder what that was. Significantly larger than Vlast. Vlast was a dragon. Who knows? There's actually some lore about like giant creatures. Forget what they're called. But that once roamed Tyria and are all extinct now. You fight the last one in the Ara explorable dungeon. Giganticus Lupicus or whatever it's called. Is that what they're called? Lupicus? Anyway, so maybe it was something like that. Who knows? Maybe it's an ancient dragon from before, you know, from earlier times. Under any circumstances, let's grab the lore from some of these crystals.
To hold the weapon is to hold the fate of Tyria in your hands. The power to change the shape of the world. Potent enough to fell the Elder Dragons. Its might should not be taken lightly.
You'll hear no argument from me.
Shut up, Commander. Shut up. Alright, so reference to an incredibly powerful weapon, right? We'll get more on that here in a little bit. Man. Ran into the side of that wall. Is there one over that way? I forgot that there was. Most of them, fortunately for us, are centered like up here. I forgot that there were a couple of them over that way. It's actually kind of a buzzkill because that means we have to go over there. Now, some of these we wouldn't be able to get to without Bunny. So again, this would be where where there's some gating taking place. But you can get enough of them. Can you get enough of them with just Raptor? I don't remember now. I think maybe you can, but then you wouldn't be able to get to the start of the next instance without Bunny anyway. So it's kind of irrelevant.
It was created so mortals could do the work of dragons of our line. To combat cataclysmic power and prevent the destruction of all life.
Following in his mother's footsteps.
I don't like that. Because it runs contrary to... I'm fine with the idea that it was created to defeat a dragon. I'm fine with that. But the way that's couched there, you know, to prevent the destruction of all life. Well, we know that the death of the Elder Dragons will actually lead to the destruction of all life. So, if the existence of the Elder Dragons will lead to the destruction of all life, and the death of the Elder Dragons will lead to the destruction of all life, then what kind of nonsense is this story, and, like, what's the point? Right?
He seeks it for the wrong purpose. We are not ready.
We? He's talking about Aurene.
Okay, that actually cleans it up a little bit. And you know, there's a lot more story that we have to go through for it to really be clear on why that cleans it up. It's another spot where we can call timing. We're not going to do that right now. Yeah. It's dialogue that wasn't needed. It was dialogue that actually makes things unnecessarily, like, confusing or contradictory when they just plain don't need to be.
is heavy. At times, too heavy to bear. But Mother believed, so we must endure. If you describe yourself.
The rest must be corrupted.
Okay, so the implication here is that Vlast and Irene have a role to play in protecting the world from the other dragons, right? Do I not have that one yet? Huh, it's kind of weird. I thought surely I had that one. Oh, I do. Huh, okay. Let's see, where's that next one? Ooh, I missed one way down there. You know what? We'll circle back around again. So if I remember correctly, it doesn't matter what order we grab these in. It will give us the like the dialogue, if you will, or it'll give us the audio, so to speak, from the crystals in an order that makes sense no matter how we grab the crystals.
If you found these crystals, it means I failed before we met. For this, I apologize. I would have enjoyed the company in the desert skies.
She'll never know her brother.
Alright, what do we got? Like 6 left, I think? 1, 2, 3. Oh, there's a couple down there, too. Ugh, gross. So we got 7 left? Ugh. Alright.
I hear you have chosen a champion. They will need this when the world tips. The death of the jungle dragon has accelerated our sire's rise.
If only I'd known.
I guess so, Commander. If only you'd known what? You wouldn't have fought Morganmoth? Like, you gotta decide who your character's gonna be. If your character's gonna be like this gung-ho, stop at nothing, like no regrets kind of character, fine, man. That's cool. I can dig it. Like there's a place for that. But then don't contradict it.
Continues to pursue me. I fear he may get the weapon. If he does, the consequences will be unpredictable.
That's putting it lightly. All the more reason to get to it first.
Okay, so the I guess as a reminder, we're actually trying to stop Balthazar from killing Krakatork right now. And this, I really feel like there was a. If Arena was really comfortable about the direction, like if they planned out like years and years of story kind of in advance, and they had like a general outline that they were following through like multiple expansions and stuff, then they did an exceptionally poor job of putting things in like in a way that feels logical. Now I think on the contrary, they did things as they advanced to clean up some of the stuff from before to try and make all the pieces fit. And as we advance, that'll kind of make more sense, because we were bound and determined to kill the Elder Dragons. Like that was the most important thing: save the world from the Elder Dragons. Now we're not going to do that. I don't want to spoil where things ultimately end up, but...
I would have destroyed it, but Mother forbade me. She never foresaw this crisis. The right path eludes me.
Okay, so... Wait a minute. Is this actually the way I want to go? Which way do I want to go? I kind of want to go this way. No, I don't. I want to go this way. So Vlasta's saying, hey, you know, maybe I should have destroyed this great, powerful weapon. And that would have, you know, kind of prevented this crisis that we're now experiencing. Because the idea is, if Balthazar has this weapon, then, you know, he'll be unstoppable in his quest to destroy Krakator.
I feel trapped in this role. This legacy. I yearn for freedom. But I cannot turn away from these responsibilities. To do so would doom the mortal races to certain destruction. And perhaps myself as well. But then again, there is a kind of freedom in death. Is there not?
Alright. That's another thing that appears contradictory. It's actually not. When we understand more about what Vlast is referring to there, that makes a lot more sense. But it's going to be kind of a long time before we learn about that. I do think that is a situation where they had enough foresight or enough planning ahead to where that's not an outright contradiction. That is something that actually makes sense in terms of the plan and what they were trying to do. It just appears to be a contradiction at this point.
Continues to grow in power. And our mother's death remains unavenged. The time comes to...
Alright, another one that's apparently corrupted. Wait, is there one more? Oh, no, it's pointing to that. Okay, but there are two more over here that we gotta get to. Do I want to go back? Yeah, I guess we'll go back up that way. No, let's take the, let's go the fun route. Where is it? There it is. Where'd it go?
Feel the fury.
I'll just get vertigo on this. Every time. It's the rippling of the path. And then the fact that, like, it... No, does it move? Like, yeah, it both ripples and moves sideways, and we're moving up it. Yeah. Trips me out. If I actually had to, like, walk on something like that at a great height, I would 100% fall and die. Not even maybe. Where's that thing? Is it below us somewhere? Might be. I don't remember where this one is. I almost never grab all of them because it's not necessary for the story. Alright, let's go down more. There it is.
I wonder, sister, are your exalted attendants shaping you as they shaped me? Have their words taken hold of your heart? Do you feel the weight of those words grow heavier with every passing moment? Some advice. If you grow weary of your caretakers, offer a hiss or a swat of your tail and watch them scatter. Do not let them or yourself forget what you are.
Okay, I like that a lot. And we will get more on that. Like, we'll get a better understanding of what that is in reference to and why that makes so much sense in the very near future. And I think that's great. That's very much so. But I also like it. It's fun to get like this advice, particularly when it's advice on like handling. That what is. Well, we'll learn more about it. It's almost like a captivity situation. And then of course, the don't forget what you are thing is also like we like that a lot, right?
Fills me with curiosity. Perhaps because my own never appeared. The exalted
Time to do some real damage.
purpose, but no true connection to it.
All right. Unfortunately, the harpies wouldn't just let us sit there and enjoy that. Stupid harpies. All right, so your champion fills me with curiosity, perhaps because my own never appeared. Yeah, so if we hadn't already kind of cemented the idea of a dragon champion being a very formal thing, then that definitely goes a long way to do it. Where Vlast is saying, "Hey, this is a thing that you should have. I'm glad you have it. I never did," kind of thing. Instead of like a more informal, like, I champion the cause of this baby dragon or whatever. It's actually a very specific role to play, as evidenced by that dialogue. So that is interesting. He goes on. The Exalted gave me purpose, but no true connection to it. I hope you fare better, my sister. I hope you feel full of purpose. Most days, all I feel is anger. I like that too. Maybe if only because I think, depending on your background, for some folks,
Hurts, doesn't it?
how do I say this without being like, because here's something I hate. You want to know something I hate? Oh, I hate knockbacks. I hate veterans who feel sorry for themselves. I hate veterans who think that they're entitled to something. Man, do I hate entitled veterans. There are a few things in this world I dislike as much as entitled veterans. However, it is true, many vets, when they are done, when all is said and done, at the end of your career, particularly if you had a long career, anger is going to be an emotion that you are intimately familiar with. It may even define your career. It is appropriate to be gracious when somebody thanks you. It is appropriate to show gratitude when somebody buys you beer or whatever. Someone says, "Thank you for your service." It is right to be polite and acknowledge. But if no one ever did any of those things for me again, I would be immensely satisfied. So maybe I just relate to Vlast there. Maybe that's like a personal thing, but I do really like the dialogue. I like uh, that aspect. It's in a way it's a shame that we don't get more Vlast, because you want to hear something like really sad. Like, we're done with him now. I don't believe he pops up in the story again. We've gathered his crystals, so now we're done with him. And that he will be mentioned in one instance later in Pathfire, and I think that's about it. That's too bad. It's too bad because it's too bad for Irene, right? Because that was her brother. It's too bad for the idea in the lore that, like, you know, once we reach the end of the story arc of Irene and what she becomes, the question is never asked, how would it have been different if Last had, if they had been side by side. So there's stuff like there's a lot of things where it's a shame that they shed that so easily. Anyway, okay, so we have gathered all the crystals. We got some more kind of exposition, background, lore, whatever from that. If you'll note, you'll see use your Springer mount to gain access to Glint's lair. So even if you get enough crystals, with just a raptor, you're not going to get over this. There's a big wall here, and in order to get into the story starts on the next side of it, you would need your Springer to get over that. I have no idea if you can start that next instance if somebody ports you or not. I assume probably you can, but I have no idea. I've never tried, and I don't. Yeah, I don't have any accounts that are so new they don't have Springer, and I probably won't. I don't think I'll ever buy another new account again. I just have too many as is. And I don't have like free accounts or nonsense like that. Like, I pay for my accounts. I don't buy stupid crap in the gem store when they sell stupid crap. And, I buy things that are worthwhile, and accounts are something that I consider worthwhile. Under any circumstances, we're at our stopping point here. Yes, that is the gate that I was referring to in terms of needing mastery to advance in the story. So we have we found Vlast, we found Balthazar, we confronted Balthazar. We were no match for Balthazar, not even a little bit, not even close. Balthazar whipped our ass. Vlast saved us from certain death by throwing himself in front of the attack. As a result, Vlast died. We tracked down essentially voicemails from Vlast to Irene, posthumous, and we kind of listened in on those, and it gives us some perspective in terms of the fact that there is an immense, well, two big things. One, in Irene's future, there's an immense amount of like responsibility on her, and she has a hard future ahead. There's going to be a lot asked of her. And two, there is a weapon which apparently is extremely powerful, and Balthazar wants that. So that's very much where we need to lead off with our next video. So, thank you for hanging out with me today. I hope you have a good weekend, and I will catch you later. Thank you.